Hi guys, Celestia here. I struggled with a title for part 8 of the story of Fig. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to call it, so I'm just going to call it part 8 for now. And I guess I'll have to be happy with that. So at the end of part 7, after Falar had met with Ebony the Black Unicorn, and was told about all the things that were happening and that were coming, he left to go home and do what he needed to do, but he got waylaid by Elthanor. So we're going to pick it up from there in part 8. At the very end of part 7, Elthanor tells Falar that she's not afraid of him. And he said, then you're a fool and you should be. And Elthanor said, well, I'm not afraid of you, Falar. She said, you know, Falar, she said, there are more people who want this human out of here or destroyed than you know. And he said, oh, I doubt that. He said, I'm sure that your evil tongue has managed to turn more than a few heads, Elthanor. She said, it doesn't have to do with my evil tongue. She said, it just has to do with being smart. He said, so you're saying that you're smart because you want to destroy another life. He said, that's not how we do things, Elthanor. He said, we're in Grand Forest to help preserve life. She said, animal life? She said, like I care about them. He said, what has happened to you, Elthanor? I said, I don't understand what's happened to you. He said, you were always the one that was ranting and raving about how we had to protect the creatures that were in our charge, and now all of a sudden they're just animals or they're just creatures? He scratches his head. He said, what's happened to you? He said, nothing's happened to me, other than maybe I've come to my senses. He said, you know, Elthanor, he said, if you really feel that way, he said, if you really feel that taking another life is something that would be condoned by the clan, even those that you have managed to poison against Cecilia, I think you might find that they're really not going to stand for that. And she said, but they will. She said, I know they will. She said, they're with me on this. 100%. Falar said, look, Elthanor, he said, he said, I'm tired. Okay, he said, I'd like to go home. I'd like to have a nice cup of tea, put my feet up. He said, I know that Glyneth was going to bring some food back from the feast. She said, of our dead seer that you killed. He said, no, I killed her. He said, okay, he said, I'm confused. He said, either Cecilia killed her or I killed her. Make up your mind. She said, obviously you didn't actually do it, but she said, you may as well have. He said, Elthanor, he said, could you explain something to me? She said, I guess. He said, how exactly is it that Cecilia killed Doric? She said, well, we both know that she was the last one to see her alive. He said, actually, you'd be wrong about that. She said, I'm not wrong. She says, I'm not wrong. He said, well, you're wrong this time. He said, the last people to see her alive were Rowan and Mead. She said, well, they would say that. She said, why did you think it was a good idea to allow that human to go anywhere near our seer? He said, I had no control over that. She asked to see Cecilia. She said, oh, I doubt that. She said, I doubt that. He said, you can doubt whatever you want, Elthanor. Rowan and Mead know the truth. Glyneth knows the truth. And the fact that you're just making things that much worse for yourself in the process of trying to destroy Cecilia. He said, makes me wonder about your sanity. He said, and on that note, he said, I'm leaving. He turns to leave, and she grabs a hold of his wrist and spins him around. She said, I'm not done speaking with you. And he can see the madness in her eyes. And he's frightened. For the first time in a very long time, he's frightened of another clan member. He said, you will take your hands off me, Elthanor. He said, I don't think you really realize that I could now put you to death. She said, that old law has never been anything I've ever been. No, you can't. He said, I can. He said, you're violent towards me. He said, you grab me in a threatening manner. You've threatened my life, the life of my family. He said, I can have you put to death, Elthanor. So she grabs his other arm and she begins to shake him. By this point, Villar is just beyond knowing what to do. He's angry. All he wants to do is punch the witch in the mouth. And suddenly, out of nowhere, boink, an acorn hits her off the temple with some good force because she felt it. She's like, ah, what was that? Villar's like, what was what? She said, you hit me. He said, I hit you. How in the world could I do that, Elthanor, when you were holding both my hands? He said, wow. He says, I'm really good. From the underbrush come creatures. Badgers. Raccoons. Porcupines. Jackalopes. And they're all circling around behind Elthanor and circling around the two of them. She's like, what's going on here? All of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. More acorns hit her in the head. She was like, what are you doing to me? He's like, I'm not doing anything to you, Elthanor. He was like, I don't know what's going on. Suddenly, over her face descends a very large mass of fireflies. They're now trying to get up her nose, in her ears. She's afraid to open her mouth for fear they fly in her mouth. Cockroaches are climbing up her legs. She's swatting at them like this and swatting at them. Raccoons are clawing at her feet. A vine from a nearby tree comes and starts snaking its way up her leg. And she's kicking at it and kicking at it. She was like, Villar, stop this. He's like, I'm not doing this. He was like, do you honestly think I have this kind of power? She's like, well, then your daughter's around her. She's the one doing this. I said, oh, Elthanor. He said, I don't know what's going on. He says, I really don't. And before he can say anything more, mosquitoes come. And they're stinging every open piece of flesh that she has. She's becoming wilted with mosquito bites. The cockroaches, again, climbing up her legs. Berries and rocks, pieces of bark are being thrown at her with such force that it's hurting her. She's like, Villar, make this stop, make this stop. He was like, I can't, I'm not doing this. Bats come out of the trees and begin to swoop and pull at her hair. Owls come pulling at her clothes. She's like, Villar, make them stop, make them stop. He's like, I have no control over them. What part of that do you not understand? Why are they doing this? She breaks into tears, bursts into tears. She's like, why are they doing this to me? Why are they doing this to me? He said, I don't know, Elthanor. Maybe they see you as some kind of a threat. Maybe they're protecting me. She says, oh, the mighty F'lar needs to be protected by creatures of the forest. Well, she said, isn't that just typical? Can't fight your own battles, eh, F'lar? F'lar, by this point, is extremely angry. Excuse me. It's taking every single ounce of strength for him not to throttle this witch. He said, Elthanor, I think you should leave. He said, I think you should go home, have a good night's sleep, and if you want to continue to talk about this in a rational manner, when I am also rested and haven't just had to put the body of one of my friends alight, excuse me, then by all means, seek me out in the morning. She's going like this. More berries, more rocks, more acorns, more pieces of the trees are coming at her. He says, you need to leave, Elthanor. He said, you really do. You need to leave. He said, I have a feeling that this is not going to stop until you are out of range. And he said, they're protecting me, obviously, because they're standing between the two of them. Just in a very, very large gray wolf that F'lar has never seen before comes from between two trees. She said, what's this? She said, what's this now? He said, I don't know, but I wouldn't make any false moves if I were you, Elthanor. And in Elthanor's head, she hears a very deep baritone male voice say, you need to leave, woman. She said, who was that? Who was that? Who said that? F'lar's like, who said what? Somebody told me that I need to leave. So, I told you that you needed to leave, but that wasn't me. In F'lar's head, he hears the same voice say, I'm the one who said that she needs to leave. Are you all right, Chief F'lar? He said, yes, I'm fine. He said, very good. He said, I was sent by a friend. And this friend is the one who's been responsible for all of these things happening to this woman. He said, oh, very well. So he lets out a howl. And it just was the most terrifying sound. Or at least it should have been, and yet somehow F'lar found it comforting. But Elthanor obviously didn't, because she was shaking in fear. And all of the animals, all of the insects, everything, stop. In fact, everything happened so fast that she lost her balance from swinging at things that were no longer there, that she fell on her butt. F'lar went over and she's like, don't touch me. She said, don't ever touch me. I was just going to help you up, Elthanor. She said, I don't need your help. Stay away from me. She said, I don't know what this witchcraft is. She says, but you can be sure that I'm going to let everybody know. She says, you were trying to hurt me. You were trying to kill me. He said, yeah, right, of course I was. He said, if I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. He said, you still could be. He said, maybe I have friends who can kill you in your sleep, like you threatened to do to my daughter and to Cecilia. Especially Cecilia. Your human has to sleep sometime. Does that sound familiar, Elthanor? He said, anything that's happened to you, you've brought on yourself. I asked you to come to me tomorrow when we were both rested. But you didn't have the decency. He's getting rather upset, very emotional at this point. He said, you didn't even have the decency to allow me time to grieve for my friend, for our seer. He said, how could you do that, Elthanor? What's wrong with you? What has happened to you? A couple of more acorns come here and then with force. She's like, oh. She said, stop it. Stop it, Fleur. Stop it. He said, I fear for you, Elthanor. He said, I fear for your sanity. He said, if things continue like this, he said, things will have to be taken in hand. He said, because I fear for yourself, for your safety, and for the safety of the clan. She said, you've done this to me. She said, what have you done to me, Pilar? She said, I know this is your doing. He said, no, I'm afraid not. He said, you've wanted to be chief for how long? This is not the first time that you've made some type of attempt at ousting me from my position. More acorns, more berries, more rocks being thrown at her with force. And they're hurting her. She's going to have welts. She's going to have bruises and marks. Pilar says, that's enough. Please, just stop. You've done enough. Elthanor, of course, thinks that he's talking to her. She said, I haven't even started, Pilar. She said, I don't know where your human is. But I know she's not in your house anymore. He said, how do you know that? She said, I have my ways. I have my ways, Pilar. He said, Elthanor, you're mad. He said, I no other word can describe what I'm feeling from you except madness. Excuse me. She says, well, I'm leaving now, but only because I want to, not because you want me to. Said, very well. She said, but we will continue this. She said, and be prepared, other people are going to come and talk to you about this, Pilar. He says, it's fine. It's fine. I'm more than willing to talk to anybody who wants to. Who wants to talk to me about this. I'm more than willing to listen. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. She says, well, I'm leaving. I said, okay. She turns to leave, and of course some of the vines are still holding on to her. Pilar's like, okay, that's enough. Okay, just let her go. Please, just let her go. I'm going to have a drink. Excuse me. It's very dry in my house. So she leaves. He hears her trip and fall a few times. He's pretty sure that tree roots have managed to make their way out of the ground and trip her, fall, so she would fall. Pilar turns to this very, very large gray wolf He said, so you were sent by a friend. Wolf nods. He says, you may call me Shadow. He says, I'm a Kiri. He said, a Kiri? He said, no, you can't be a Kiri. He said, no, those are just folklore and legends. He said, oh, like the black unicorn? He said, very well. He said, you got me there. He said, I've been sent by my pack. I'm the only one that didn't have a mate. I was the only one who was available. So I've been sent by my pack because of what's coming and because Ebony sent for me. He said, know that that woman won't hurt you again. He said, she just won't. He said, I just have to send a message to Ebony, and Ebony sends the creatures to her. He said, it was Ebony that did this. He said, I wondered. He said, I knew it wasn't me. So this very large wolf head comes closer to him. He said, I am your bodyguard. He said, you don't need to worry about Eldred. He said, I'm here as your protector. He said, I can't be drugged. He said, no magic can be used on me. He said, I am magically resistant. He said, and besides which, he said, truth be told, Chief Villar, I'd like nothing better than to take a bite out of that bitch. And that's where we're going to end part 8. So I guess maybe we could call this part 8 a new arrival or something. I don't know yet. But yes. Of course, part 9 will have more about Shadow, who is going to become great friends with Fig. Of course, that's one of the reasons why he was sent there. So that is the end of part 8. Elthanor got a little taste of what can happen when you mess with the wrong person. Especially someone who, of course, she had no idea that Villar knew the black unicorn. She had no idea that Ebony had picked up on his thoughts and his fears, which obviously he did to send the creatures to him. But she might want to think twice now about confronting him. Let's put it this way. The creatures in Gren Forest have her number. So until we get together again, my friends, love yourself, love each other, but more importantly, love your dollies. Bye-bye.